welcome to all the attendees present here. My name is Rashika and I'll be the moderator during this webinar session. The topic for today's webinar, as you must already be aware, is Qlik's latest powerful features for data democratization and self-service. The presenters of today's webinars are Rishikesh Deshmukh, Principal Consultant at Exponentia, and Harsh Rawat, Strategic Consultant at Exponentia. A couple of instructions I'd like to share before we start the session. All of the attendees will be kept on mute during the entire session, but we would like to make the session interactive. We'd want your inputs to curate the content accordingly. For this, we'll have a poll in short intervals between the webinar, wherein a question will be displayed on your screens for 15 seconds. Kindly submit your response within the stipulated time. We'll also have a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. Kindly post your questions through the question tab present in control panel on top right corner of your screen. We look forward to your active participation. With this, I'd like to invite Rishikesh to begin the webinar.
And a very good afternoon to all the participants. Thank you for taking out time and joining us for this very interesting webinar. All right. So let us just dive in and talk about what is going to be our agenda for this discussion. Okay. So as the topic also said, the agenda is going to revolve around two major themes: data democratization and self-service. So we are going to deep dive into what are the Qlik features which are going to allow organizations to provide data accessibility across not just organizations, but also for the ecosystem partners. And in same way, we are also going to talk about how you can enable user-driven analytics and data adoption across your organization. So to actually cater to these two themes, we have curated our agenda, and we will be namely talking about some of the latest tools that Qlik is offering, namely Qlik Data Catalog, the cataloging tool that Qlik offers, and Qlik Alerting. It has the self-service alerting mechanism which can tell you how your data is changing. Apart from that, we are also going to talk about the latest releases of Qlik Sense and the features in those releases. So we are namely considering for this discussion the features which were released in February and April 2020. Apart from this, as I can see, there are many participants who are joining or who are interacting with Exponentia for the first time. So we would also like to talk a little bit about Exponentia, what we do, right? And what are some of the offerings that we have, so on and so forth. And we would also like to talk and set the context of what is Qlik's modern analytics portfolio and how it can enable data democratization and self-service. In the discussion, we are also going to demonstrate Qlik Data Catalog, the new features of Qlik Sense and Qlik Alerting. So it is going to be a hands-on session. So we expect a very active participation from you. As Rashika also highlighted that we are going to have a short poll in between discussions. So I expect that you would actively participate during those polls, because those answers are going to help us curate the content further. So let's just dive in and learn a little bit about Exponentia and what we do. So at Exponentia, we do work across data value chain, and it revolves around customer engagement, accelerating data to decisions, and institutionalizing intelligent automations using bots for many of our clients. We also have our product offering, namely Engagely, which is an AI conversational platform that drives customer engagement for our customers. We are 200 plus sharpest analytics professionals spread across major business locations around the world: London, Mumbai, Singapore, and we are in seventh year of operations. So we were founded in 2014. So far, we have served more than 60 clients, and we partner with most leading technological firms in the world, namely Qlik, Microsoft, AWS, so on and so forth. Just to talk a little more about what we do. So if we were to find a common thread between our offerings, it is this: we accelerate data to decisions for our clients. So if we were to talk about, what is this journey? So we can understand that it starts from building your modern data platforms, preparing your data, and then ultimately deriving insights from those data, right? So it will involve certain steps in between, which is powering up analytics, institutionalized advanced analytics, and across these stages, we actually have our leading offerings which allow you to accelerate this data to decisions journey. So namely, if I were to talk about some of our offerings, you can have offerings like recommendation engines and bespoke ML solutions for institutionalizing some of the use cases for advanced analytics. If I were to talk about how you can build process automation, then we have deployed automations like handwriting, identification, voice analytics, and Power App solutions at many of our clients. And all this we do at an accelerated pace because of our own IPs and frameworks that we have built with years of experience. And it actually ultimately results into efficiency of deployment. Having said this, I want to take this discussion further as to why this journey from data to decisions is important. If we see today, organizations are consistently battling the disparity between the needs that they have in terms of data capabilities and the infrastructure and capabilities that they currently possess in their organizations. So if we see, on one hand, organizations talk about real-time data processing, but then their ETL processes do not allow them to have this real-time data processing. So in this scenario, what can we do, right? So ultimately what clients and organizations need are data-driven transformations. So they need insights. They need insights from their data. So there is lots and lots of data available in their organization, but there is something missing in the middle that does not allow them to transform this data and derive insights out of them. So the missing piece is analytics. And if you want to build your analytics strategy, it cannot build in a silo. It has to be in sync with your data strategy. Thereby to say that whatever you process your data with, the tools that you use, the strategy that you adopt will ultimately result into the effectiveness that you want to derive out of analytics and ultimately the quality of insights, right? So this is where Qlik comes in, and the strategy that Qlik has, or the offering that Qlik has, allow you to have a connected strategy across all these three elements. So you can have your data in sync with whatever analytics you want to do on top of it and the insights that you want to ultimately derive out of it. And we will talk about this, how Qlik goes about enabling you doing this. So imagine that you have multiple data sources, and in a large organization, this will always be the case. So you have so many different data sources. You will have real-time data, you will have data coming in from third-party sources, so on and so forth. Now you will have to integrate all this data to arrive at meaningful insights, right? So Qlik has its data integration capabilities, which allow you to generate this stream of data. So it can be real-time, it can be batch as well. It allows you to deliver this data to various sources, be it cloud or be it data lakes or be it on-premises. It allows you to also refine this data and use it for any analytical use cases. So these are data integration capabilities, and we will see some of the tools that Qlik has to offer in the data integration capabilities in the coming slides. Second thing that you would need is, once you have this large chunk of data, you would definitely want to have a catalog for it. Because imagine a book which is, a 1,000-page book but does not have an index. So in that case, you will not be able to go to the topic that is of your choice, that is relevant to you at that moment. You will have to surf through the entire book and then read the topic that you want to, right? That is not a very good way to actually read a book. So same is the case with our data assets as well. So we need to know what data assets we need, where can we find it, and then how can we use it, right? So imagine a scenario where you are able to find out what is the operational efficiency of the data, or what is the quality of your data, what is the popularity of the data across your organization. So if you are able to understand what data is available, the size of it, the content and quality of your data, then definitely you are going to reach and reap benefits out of such data assets, right? And this is one capability that you all, whoever are using Qlik, all know that there is an associative engine with Qlik which powers all the data analytics that we do in Qlik, right? But not just associative engine that we have to now depend on, there is also another component that is added, and this is cognitive engine, right? So all the conversational analytics, all the referencing between the data sets that we can have now with associations is possible through conversational, is possible to identify what are the linkages between data, what are the insights which I am not able to find out when I run manual analytics on my data. So that all that will be propped up using cognitive data engines. Okay, so you can have it across your data use cases, you can have it across your different sets of users, and ultimately you can enhance the performance of your data. Okay. All this with the flexibility of having to deploy it on infrastructure that you would like. So you can have an option where you can deploy it in a private cloud of any leading cloud player. You can also deploy it in your organization for security reasons if you so choose to. And you can also have a completely SaaS modeled Qlik Sense enterprise version, which can be deployed in a cloud, but that cloud will be managed by Qlik. So you have all the options for deployment. Now, I'm talking about all this because when you want to have a connected data strategy, you need all these elements in place. And most important of them could be the customer support that you would have. So Qlik has in its ecosystem the partners who will be there with you once you deploy Qlik Sense and start generating insights out of your data. Whenever you have some problems, you can get in touch with the partners. You also have support from Qlik. And all in all, what it does is it derives an accelerated business outcome driven by customer centricity, experience, and value that the Qlik provides. So the thing that we were talking about was how you can have a connected strategy between your data, the analytics that you want to derive out of it, and ultimately the insights that you want for running your business, right? So this is enabled by customer success that we just talked about, and the enterprise class technology, the features and tools that are available with Qlik. It makes a comprehensive package of data capabilities and supports all your data strategy across your organization's ecosystem, so on and so forth. So this is one thing that we wanted to set context for you. We want to just introduce you to the modern Qlik portfolio and what are the elements in it, and then begin deep dive into some of these elements. So what we have so far covered are the data integration elements. So Qlik Compose and Qlik Replicate are two tools which Qlik offers to integrate data. Then there is Qlik Catalog, as we have discussed. It is an index, you can say, for your all data assets. Then there is a third element that we want to talk about, and we are going to talk about this in greater detail today, which are the new features of Qlik Sense which drive AI and ML capabilities. The fourth piece is the embedded and conversational analytics that you can drive on Qlik dashboards through Qlik Insight Board. And last but not the least, we want to talk about Qlik Alerting, the latest acquisition and position of Qlik Sense, which allows you to have alerting mechanism to proactively identify how your data is changing. Okay, so this is the modern Qlik Analytics portfolio, and these are only some of the Qlik products. We are not including all products like N printing, so on and so forth. But these are, according to us, the modern and benefit you. And for the webinar, we are going to discuss these three offerings of Qlik. So Qlik Catalog, AI and ML capabilities and new features of Qlik Sense released in February and April 2020 version, and Qlik Alerting. Before we begin with the next set of slides, I would just want to understand from you through a poll, and I'll just pop up a question, and meanwhile I'll proceed with the presentation. So I would request you to just answer these poll questions to the best of your knowledge. Okay, so it will appear on your screen, and you just have to select a answer for it. It's a multiple choice question. In the meanwhile, I would talk a little bit about Click Catalog and why it is important. Imagine how our world has transformed in, say, last 10-15 years. So two organizations that come to our mind, among many, but two that I would like to mention in this context of Click Catalog are Google, and the other one would be Amazon. So what is common between Google and Amazon is both of them are actually catalogs. If you imagine, or if you think that way, then Google actually catalogs all the information that is available in the world. And in the same way, Amazon catalogs all the products that we want to buy and are available in the world, right? So in that way, what these organizations are doing are nothing but cataloging or providing us access to whatever information and products we want to buy and information that we want to read and understand and use, right? So if this is the case, then there must be some value attached to cataloging. And in a typically large organization, that value is immense, because your data users would want to know what data set I should be using. Your data users should know that this is a data set that has been used by my peer and he or she found it useful, and hence this data set I also can use. Your data users should also have access to the data in the first place, right? And I would like to quote about one of my exercises that I did for my client, our client, and that exercise was for a large insurance player in India. Okay, I'm just stopping my poll so that we can move on with the slides. I see responses, so I'll just close this poll. Okay. Thank you for all the responses. Thank you very much. And the challenge with the cataloging, or the challenge that cataloging solves, we would like to just discuss in brief. Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying, that for one of our clients, I was doing this assessment exercise of their data assets. And one of the problems that I found was there was so much data that they had, right? And the inventory was unclear. So nobody knew what data assets lie, how many of them are useful, how many of them we can discard. And this is a common problem across many organizations that we talk to. The second problem is the security. Now, if you make data available for use to every and each of your users, then it becomes difficult to sort of take care of security, right? And we also will see how you can take care of this particular problem. And then there are cumbersome pipelines. Now, this is to say that you have your organizations built over a period of time. So there is a lot of ad hoc work that has been done. So one department is using some logic for the same purposes, but the other department has some changes and they have some different routines written for their own departments. Now this creates these pipelines which are not integrable. So overall, when the organization reaches a certain scale, then this becomes a big problem, because now you have data, but you cannot use it for universal purposes, right? So as I was talking about my experience, the organization that I was doing this exercise for had similar problems. So the first challenge that comes up is the data challenge. So you have, as we talked, unknown sources, inaccessible data, unknown data suitability, and unusable data formats. The second challenge, even if you are able to find out what is the right data, then you have to provision that data to your business user. Now, this in itself is a huge problem, because typically what happens in organizations is, and this used to happen in this case for this insurance player as well, that there used to be requests from business users that we need such and such report. Now the central IT team would assess that whether this report is available in some of the other departments. If it is not available, then they would decide that which tool should we create this report in, because where is the data available and where can we do it with minimum effort, etc. And then which tools the user is also sort of enabled on. So all these considerations actually take a lot of time. It also takes considerable effort, right? And so the business priorities are never actually addressed in a timely manner that it should be. right? So provisioning is a challenge, not just in terms of the ETA or the time to sort of cater to that particular request, but it is also a challenge in terms of security, in terms of how your central IT is positioned and how much capable it is, so on and so forth. The third challenge, once you even provision the data, the third challenge is the usability challenge. Now you have given the data sets, you have given the reports, but now there could be certain expectations that are not met, because and imagine this happening after 3 months of the request being put in the first place, right? You have duplicative requests from two stakeholders. They have the same request, but then they need certain changes, and you have to cater to both, right? So that actually means additional work for you. There are unsighted versions of truth, because the state of data that you have is so huge that you cannot just track it properly, right? And then this is very important, dead-end analytics, right? So when we have, say, you can do a one-time exercise and catalog everything, right, in say some documents or some manual tools, but then because the organization is a living being, right? So you are churning out data day by day. Now that new data also needs to be cataloged. Now if that new data is not going to be cataloged, then after 10 years it's going to be the same situation again. So that dead-end analytics also is a very important thing, because we cannot just do it for one time and then leave it for the other time. Okay, so that is why what we want to say is you need the catalog to actually be able to analyze whatever data is available. And this is a very important statistic that we have, that because of these challenges, a very high percentage of available data in the organization is never analyzed. So what are the Qlik capabilities and Qlik catalog capabilities that can solve these problems? So as I said, you will have a one snapshot view of whatever data assets you have in your organization. So you will inventory all the data assets, you will profile the data and capture their metadata, so that you can understand what data is available in each of these data assets. You will also identify what is the sensitivity and sensitive data in this. So something like a personally identifiable information, right? And you can mask that information also for the users. And then also you can find out what are the connections between your data. So say, for example, you have a customer which is present in one particular department, and the same customer, say for example credit cards, you have a customer and you have a same customer in your loans department as well, and the organization doesn't know that the same customer exists across departments. So now Qlik Data Catalyst can actually allow you to find those connections with some identifiers that are common. Okay, so you can source data from multiple data sources. Second capability that it has is approach of data usage, which is shop for data. So it allows easy searching, it allows role-based security, and it also allows you to add to cart functionality. You remember the example I gave you, Amazon.com, right? So there it is simple, because you can just search for what you need, you can add to cart, make the payment, and then that product is shipped to you. Here the only change is you don't have to make any payments, but everything else remains the same. Okay, and ultimately there is also a need to prepare data, right? So here you also have the functionalities and all the features to prepare your data. So you can standardize the data, you can join data assets so that you can implement some logics on the basis of joins. You can have reusable data assets, and in a matter of minutes you will see how you can create raw to ready data sets. Okay, and we will see a demo of this where Harsh will show you how in a matter of minutes we are able to actually create a data set and use it in a QlikSense dashboard. Not just use it, but create a dashboard itself within 5 minutes. Okay, and this is just a landscape where we just want to show how Qlik Catalog will add value to your ecosystem. So essentially, Qlik Catalog is the gateway that governs all your data, but it also is not a gatekeeper that doesn't allow you to enter inside any state. Okay, so what it does is it gives access, yet it restricts access for unauthorized usage. Okay, so through Qlik Catalog you can have access to your data warehouses, you can send data to your data scientists, You can send data to any self-service BI tool. So even though this is a product from Qlik, it allows you the flexibility and freedom to send data to all the leading BI tools, including Power BI, Tableau, so on and so forth. Okay. So remember the question I asked in the poll, right? So you don't have to worry about it. You can still use Qlik Catalog. It can allow connection to your business intelligence tools. The most other important thing is many of you might be Qlik customers already, and you will have a lot of valuable assets lying in the in the term of or in of QVDs, right? So you have so many QVDs and there is so much data inside those QVDs, but you are not able to use it in other tool but ClickSense, right? So if you want to use it for data sciences, now you can use it through Qlik Catalog and send it for analytics and ML platforms. Then another thing that Catalog resolves is it's the life of all these people very easy. The first of the personnel could be data engineers that you have in your organizations. So these are typically the people who are adding new assets. Then these are data stewards who are people who are maintaining the security standards, quality of the data, so on and so forth. And then third are the business users. So these are the people who are going to utilize the data for the business purposes. So it makes life easy for all these people, right? And let us see how it does it. Okay, so this is just a snapshot benefit of Qlik Catalog. So as we have already discussed, so I'm not going to spend time on this. Let's jump on to the demo that we have created for you. In the meanwhile, at this time, we can have our second poll. Okay, and I'll just put that question for all of you. Yeah, so I think the poll is open. You can have your answers selected through the drop downs. In the meanwhile, I'll talk you through some of the latest features of ClickSense. So majorly there are 4 categories of new features, and these are categories which are made by us. So the categories could be visualization and related changes and improvements. There are improvements and features which are released at a dashboard and application level. Then there are new themes and styling that you can offer on the themes, on the visualizations. And then there are augmented intelligence capabilities which are released. So I am just talking you through. You can still answer your questions. I will again sort of show my presentation where you can see all these categories, and then walk you through the ClickSense application which demonstrates all these features. Stop the poll right now. Maybe 5-10 more seconds. If anybody has not responded, please do so in these next few seconds. I'll just close it. Thank you for all the responses. This is just to make it interactive so that we can also curate our content in the webinar according to your responses. So I hope now you can see my screen back. So the first feature that I was talking about are on the first category of features are on the visualization. So you have new visualizations, namely organization chart. You can have first measure, sort on first measures for pivot chart, modifiers for moving average and relative percentages, trend lines, table trend indicators, so on and so forth. You also have your themes and styling features where you can improve the visual look and feel. You also have dashboard application level features where you have we have newly introduced features like sheet triggers, sharing of bookmarks. You have a new global navigation panel, and we have tooltip customization as well. And then there are a whole host of features on augmented intelligence where the Qlik has improved its NLP processing for natural language processing prowess. They have a better natural language support now, and we also have extended chart support in Insights. Okay. So let's just jump on. Okay. So I just have to jump to the application that we have created for you. and this application will demonstrate all these latest features. Visualization that we want to talk about, and it has been recently introduced in the April 2020 version of ClickSense. It is the organization chart. Okay. So before this, if you would have your data for the organization and hierarchy of your organization, you would have seen a data like this. So Eric, who is the president, and then he has all these reportees reporting into him. Then there are managers like John, who are having further reportees like Frank, Helen, and Ingrid, right? So they are ultimately rolling into Eric, right, through John. Right now, this data, if you look at, is very difficult to read and comprehend, right? But now the new organization chart has been released, makes it very, very simple and evidently that it is at highest level in the hierarchy, and he has subordinates, John, and then in turn they have further 7 and 4 report is rolling into them. Now, the beauty of this chart that you not just have and hierarchy association, you also can have others deployed on top of it. So what it means is the currently what measure deployed is the salary, but you can also have the performance rating or the sales the person has done. So Eric and his team, if say have $180,000 of sales, then we can see what contribution has John made into it and Leaf has made into it, and subsequently also. So in one glance, we can have a look at the hierarchy. We can also have look at the performance of these people. Now, I would also want to show you how this chart is created, right? So once you click edit, you can just go into the data options and you can see what dimensions I have put. So it is just simple employee ID and who does he report to. So just a manager ID and an employee ID, and you are set to create this chart. In the measures, you can add the measures that you want. Okay? So it's that simple. You just have to have your data ready in this format, and then you can very easily create this chart. Okay? Moving on to the next feature that we want to talk about is about the relative modifiers. So relative modifiers, what happens is you have say category of data. So there are multiple product categories, and you want to understand what is the contribution of one particular category in that, right? In that your business is 100 crore of business, right? Now one category, which is women's wear, is contributing 38%, but earlier this wasn't easy to plot, right? Now with this relative modifier, you can just create a bar chart and just apply this modifier, and you will see what percentage of total does this individual category contribute, right? This is a very, very powerful modifier, and it has been released in April 2020 version. And this is applicable across different types of charts. So you can see it in the stack chart, you can see it in a spread table or a plain table, you can also see it in a line graph, right? And I would also like to know how this is done, because the option for this could be a little tricky and you may not be able to find it very easily. So I would just show you where you can find this option for the modifiers. And the one more thing about modifiers is the recent releases of ClickSense has started this addition of modifiers. So if you go to data and go to your measures, you can see the modifiers. So here, when you go into the measures, you expand this, and below this, you will see these modifiers. So once you click it, you will see a few more options from where you can, from the down, you can select multiple options that you have available for modifiers. So one of them is relative modifiers. Okay, and the other modifier, relation, moving average, difference, were also released in the previous versions of ClickSense from November onwards. So moving average and difference we are going to see as well, in the next sheet of this particular application. So now we are on this moving average sheet of ClickSales application, where we can see relative modifier, moving average and difference. Okay, so what this does is it plots on a solid line. What you see are the sales numbers, which are the actual numbers, and the dotted line represents the moving average for last 3 months. So here it will coincide. Here it will be an average of these 2 points, so 78, 157. So about 240. Okay, so the moving average is about 118. Similarly, here you can see it has dropped because this 72 is a value which is far less than 157, so on and so forth. So what it indicates and what insight it gives out is that, on a rolling 3-month basis, how am I performing in terms of my sales? So here itself I can find out that in March there is something that has happened, and because of which my moving average, my actual numbers are below moving average. So there is something wrong with even April, right? So here, this is the area which I sort of need to dig down and find out what has gone wrong. Same thing with the difference. Here we can just find out the difference between the last data point and the current one. So here 270 and 119, so 151. Similarly, you can have this chart plotted. So all these are actually enhancements which will allow business users to unearth insights in an efficient manner. So this is one of the modifiers, 2 of the modifiers rather. Now the next thing that we want to talk about, and I'll allow this sheet to load, is about the measures that you can add to tooltips. Tooltips is a very standard sort of a element in all the data and business analytics tools, but then this can also be a very powerful element as well, and I'll show you how it can be. Okay, so if you are able to see, okay, so in this bar graph what we have plotted are sales, okay, across 4 years, right? Now this is a very, very simple bar graph, but once we hover over this particular bar graph, what we will be able to see is a tooltip. Now this tooltip has multiple measures into it. Okay, so not just sales, but it also has cost of sales, it has freights, it has number of customers, and it has number of countries. So what in a simple manner it has allowed us to do is plot a simple bar graph with one measure, so that the graph is not cluttered and we can find out and focus on the main measure, which is sales. But at the same time, we can juxtapose this particular measure across other relevant measures, which in this case are cost of sales. So if my sales are increasing but cost of sales are increasing by higher amount, then probably there is a problem even if the sales are increasing. So that allows business discovery in a very, very efficient and effective manner. Okay, and this again is applicable across visualizations that you have. So be it a scatter plot or a map, you can apply all these tooltip additional or customization in tooltips across all these visualizations. Moving on, so there are features which have been released for pivot tables and plain tables, and this particular feature that we are demonstrating on this particular sheet is for a pivot table. And the feature is now you can sort by the first measure that you see on your screen. Okay, so sales, which is the measure, earlier there was no functionality which allowed you to sort a pivot table by a measure. It was available through a dimension, but a business user would rather want to see how the numbers. So I'll just want to move ahead. So we will be discussing the pivot table and the sort by first measure functionality. So as you can see on this screen, the first measure, that is sales in this case, we can sort by this particular measure and identify what are the product categories which are selling higher. We can also find out sort of having it in ascending order. what are the product categories which are selling lower. Same way, there are a few more enhancements around the look and feel and improvement you can do in terms of look and feel for the pivot tables. Okay, so you can have your background colors for the headers changed. You can have the text also for the headers changed. You can have sub totals which are highlighted with the background color and text color, so on and so forth. So these are all enhancements that are there in the new ClickSense features. Okay, another important addition in the simple table, right, is that, remember we used to have such a table in ClickSense earlier: products, their sales, and other measures. But now in this table, the readability is a problem. So something which is minus 11% for current year versus last year, right, is also shown in similar way to what is there for 855% higher, right? So it is not very good for the readability. So what you have in the latest version is you can have indicators to highlight how your numbers are, right? So now you can see that you have these stars and flags and colors and circles, right, which can highlight which of the categories or products are not doing well, and some of the others which are doing very, very well. And then you can focus on those which are not doing well and go about course correcting. Another important feature that we want to talk about of ClickSense is that of a trend line. Okay, so in your data, you want to always benchmark what you are seeing. So if you want to have a look at, say, sales, right, across years, you want to know what is my average and whether in this year I am performing above or below average. So this trend line that you see is the average line. Similarly, you can have all these multiple options. So if you want to have a linear scale, it will change it to linear. And then you can juxtapose what your numbers are looking like and accordingly take decisions. So for benchmarking, this is a very, very important feature. Earlier, this wasn't available, and we used to create this through expression, which would be a very complex expression. And, it wouldn't be applicable across dashboards. And also it would have slowed the performance of the dashboard. But now it is available out of the box. Similar way, there are enhancements on the look and feel of the line charts. So earlier we had straight line graphs. Now we can have curved lines, which looks a little better. It also allows you to enhance or increase or decrease the width of the line graphs. It allows you to have it dashed, or you can have it of a solid type, right? So on and so forth. So these are all styling features which actually enhances the customer or user experience when they are interacting with the dashboards. Next important feature that we want to talk about is of a sheet trigger. So sheet trigger is nothing but an action that you predefine for a particular sheet. So I hope you are able to see the filters that are already applied when I move to this sheet. So category name and year 2016 was already applied. So I did not do anything while coming to this sheet, but the trigger was already set, right? And that is why this option was applicable. Now this is very important for those customers who are moving from ClickView to ClickSense, because ClickView already had a feature similar to this. Okay, so whenever we open a ClickSense dashboard, we don't see any filters. I mean, we did not see any filters before, but now you can predefine. So it's not that you have to every time log in and select those filters and then only arrive at what data you need to see. So you can predefine them now. The way you do it is just go to the sheet properties, and there is an action option at the bottom here, and then from the drop down you can select various selections that you want to make. These are the types of actions you can take on the sheet. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll not go further detail on how you can apply the sheet triggers, but in the questions, do let me know if you have any questions on this. Okay, and then there is a very, very powerful feature of bookmarking that was always there, but now the difference is the bookmarks that you were creating for yourself now can be used by others also. So now imagine that a person who is a data analyst has created some bookmarks which are very, very relevant for the business users. Business users who are sitting in some part of the country or world can now use the same bookmarks and apply the filter and state of the sheets on their ClickSense dashboard. Just to show you an example, I have certain bookmarks already created. Okay, so this is one of the bookmark, Sales Performance USA. Okay, so once I apply this, you can see that I move to another sheet. I have moved from the sheet, and this filter of USA was also applied. Okay, so filter of USA is applied. I have moved from the other sheet to this one now, and I can see data only for USA. Same way, if I remove this filter, I'll just show you how invaluable this can be, right? So just imagine that you have different countries from Europe in a pie chart or a dashboard, okay? And then you want to select all those countries which are from Europe, okay? What can happen is there is already a bookmark created for Europe, right? So I can just apply this bookmark and I can see data only for Europe and the countries within Europe. So now you have only Sweden, Denmark, Ireland, UK, Germany, etc. You don't have any data from US or other countries, right? So this can be very, very powerful feature for the ease of access, the overall user experience, and that acceleration of data to decisions journey. So this sums up this portion of the webinar where we have discussed about the latest ClickSense features. I would just like to toss it up now to Harsh to demonstrate the QDC as well as the click alerting features.
Sure, Rishikesh. I'll quickly walk you through the capabilities of Click Catalog. So we see that large organizations produce a lot of data, and in today's world, to take advantage of it depends on how easily and efficiently you are able to leverage it to gain insights and make decisions. So today we'll be discussing about two journeys. One taken by the business users who need the data to make business decisions, and the other for a business analyst who would facilitate business by preparing data. Quickly moving to the journey of a business user. So a business user would land on the catalog section of the Click Catalog, which is this page. Here they can find different data assets or the data entities available on the organizations. Now, if let us assume that the business user is interested in a patient related data, so they'll simply type in the data, the code word or the patient name on the search box, and the related data assets will pop up on the basis of tags and names. Now, these data tiles represent the data assets pertaining to patients. Now, each data tile shows you the name, the source, the entity label, the row count, the fields, the last load data, and also KPIs in the form of operational, quality, and popularity. To further dive in and to pick our data, the data need, we can view the entity. By clicking here, we'll see a list of source names, connection types, source connections. Also, on the right-hand side, you have the KPI scoring details, which tells about the operational KPIs, which depends on the recency of data load. The quality KPI, which tells about the quality of data, if it is good, bad, or ugly. Now, if the data is ugly, we can switch on and move to a different data asset. Also, the popularity KPI is visible over here, which indicates, which is based on the number of tags, comments, and also the jobs that are published using this data entity. Apart from that, the user can also view the sample data, which tells them about the fields and the type of data available in that particular data entity. The user can download it in CSV or XLS format to see how it looks on the Excel and perform some analysis on top of it. Also, the data lineage can be visible, so it tells the complete life cycle of the data, from where it has been sourced, what all transformations it has been done on it, and also the applications where this data asset has been used. Now, if the user is satisfied with this much information, they can move quickly, add it to the cart and drive off. If not, they can find the statistical data available for the against every field name, and you can have the minimum value, maximum value, number of nulls, cardinality, etc. against the data. Also, we have a properties section wherein the user can see the metadata, and the related entities section, which suggests the probable linkages that this data asset may have with other data. This shows basically shows the related data entities automatically. So now, for example, if I'm looking for patient name, so a related data asset of insurance or data policy, patient policies will pop up, so as to ease my search on the data part. Now, if I'm not satisfied, if the user is not satisfied, they can go back and search for a different tile, just as the shopping experience that we face on any e-commerce website today. Now, let us assume that the user is satisfied with the patient OP and they want to take this data asset. They can simply add it to the cart and take action. Now, action, by means of action, you can either publish it, you can explore the data further, prepare it, transform it according to your needs, or quickly publish it to ClickSense. Now, this catalog facilitates searchability, ensures the ease of access, and also provides authentic data to you. This one-touch button can also be configured if you have a different BI tools. For example, we have ClickSense integrated with our data catalyst, but if your organization uses some different BI tools, be it Tableau or Power BI, this one-touch button can be configured for the same. Now we are loading our data into the ClickSense application. The data directly gets imported to the sheet over here. We can quickly move to insights, generate insights using the powerful Click engines. So here we have the insights that are generated automatically by ClickSense on the basis of our data that we have selected. We can add it to sheets. Now this is just a one-touch move. Now the sheets have been added. We can have a look on the sheet. So here our dashboard is. We can quickly prepare a dashboard, edit it, and we are good to go. So this commences the journey of a business user who has made use of the data available and generated insights. Now moving on to a different journey of a business analyst who would want to facilitate business by providing and making data. So a business analyst will be interested in performing the ETL processes as well, because they'll be importing data right from the source, preparing it, and then publishing it. So these ETL processes are also very easily available on the Click Catalog platform. The business analyst will have to simply move to the source, add data, to an existing source or to a new source. They can choose the connection to whatever they are authorized to. They can add the name. The entity label over here is a crucial part in the catalog. You can select entities. It can be either managed, wherein the whole data is available in the Click Catalog system, or it can be registered, where you have a sample data in the metadata with full profiling and complete validation available, and as addressed, which only stores the metadata. So as for the users to understand the structure through it. So this does in registered and addressed entity labels, the data is not stored in the catalog system. So thus not overloading your catalog. Also, you have the group sections over here, which assigns the user base, which can access this particular data. This is sort of security feature to create a wall. Now, if finance guys cannot access the data made available only for the marketing people. So this is how you import your data. on the catalog. Once this is done, you can prepare it by easy drag and drop features. You can quickly select the number of tables and the data sets that you want to combine together. So here you have the preparation section wherein you can make use of these tiles of filter. You can join different data tables, transform them, apply custom logics according to your usage. Also, the catalog provides a recommendation section over here, which enables the non-tech savvy users like me in the form of design tips and performance tips that I can use to modify my data. So here we have some design tips that are automatically generated by the smart catalog engine. You have the performance tips, etc. over here. So now once this piece is done, you have prepared your data in the form of final table. You have it over here. After applying these connections, you can simply publish it. By publishing, you can set the load times. You can it can be either a scheduled load or it cannot be a scheduled. It depends on the you can set the time at which you want it to be loaded. And coming to the once it has been published, you can come to the security feature, which here you can mask the confidential data, honor cluster permissions, there's access to data, and audit access and lineage. So this is a powerful security feature to govern the data that is available on the organizational level. Also, it authorizes users to particular data sets and protects the data. Once this is done, the data is available in the catalog, and the business analyst can simply add the data and drive off. With this, we complete the journey of a business analyst, and we'll quickly move on to the click alerting section.
Yes. So in the interest of time, we are aware that we have already over time, but I would request all the participants to stand by for about 10 minutes. We will cover this very important feature of ClickSense that has been recently announced and available now for the users, which is click alerting. So Harsh, just walk us through click alerting. Thank you.
Yes, quickly, I'll just give you a walkthrough of what alerting is. So alerting has been a recent addition into the Click portfolio, launched in May this year. What it does, it helps you take timely and intelligent decisions with your data. It is, what are the alerting add-ons? What value does it add? So it allows you to start taking actions even before opening your sheet, thus enabling proactive management at your organization. Since insights are readily available over phone or email, you can quickly set the roles of management into motion. Also, with anomaly and outlier detection capabilities of Click alerting, you manage by exceptions. So you do not have to drill down into each and every report, but take actions for the alert that has been triggered, thereby also decreasing the time you spend on the dashboard. Now, this is very important for the people who are always on the move. For example, sales representatives and the CXO level employees who do not have time to look into each and every integrity of the dashboard. So this in the steps, you reduce the dashboard fatigue as well. With all these features, there is a culture adoption of data insights backed by data. So you have now an organization which takes decisions on the basis of data. Now, what are the functionalities of Click alerting? So it is a sophisticated alerting system where you get the data-driven alerts on the basis of your statistical requirements. So the user can set their particular criteria for the alerts to be triggered. It is a self-service platform. Users can make changes on the basis of their suitability, receive alerts on mobile and email. With mobile, you can either use, we have it on Apple as well as on Android. When you get a trigger when you get an alert after triggering it, You also get a link to the sheet which tells you what, if you want to deep dive into it, you can have further analysis on it, on top of it. Also, because of these facilities and functionalities, you drive adoption of data and have a data culture at your organizations. And so for the demo, we see that click alerting can be used for 3 different user bases. One is the business user who can execute the alerting on the ClickSense dashboard itself. So now click alerting is also available as an extension on the ClickSense application. You can simply drag and drop it on the ClickSense dashboard and apply your alerts on the basis of your requirement. Apart from that, there it is useful for the power users who would want to set alerts for the other users, and for the system admins to provide system alerts, for example, to monitor the ClickSense reload text, etc., and also broadcast notifications throughout the organization. So let us quickly see how we can, set up an alert, a data alert. To create a powerful data-driven alert, we can have this page. We can create it. Here we have different alerts already created by the name, descriptions, the ClickSense applications that they have been built on, and also whether or not they are enabled. So here we have the data alert. We can set the name of the alert, add in some descriptions, add the data source. So by source, we mean the ClickSense applications on for which you want the alert to be set on. So here we have selected the CEO dashboard, and out of that CEO dashboard, we have selected the sales analysis sheet because we are generating alerts for the sales. You can select the measure from here. So this has to be the, so here, since sales has been an area of interest, we have added sales as a measure. The format can be either auto or customizable. Also, you can drill down into the dimensions. For example, if you want month-wise, if you want to see how month-wise progress you're making on sales, so here we can do that as well. For example, in 2019 January, you have a sales of $0.53 million. So that can be customized according to your need. It can also be based on the sales representative, etc., etc. Once this data has been captured we can move on to applying advanced statistical calculations and set alert criteria. Here we can set the conditions for the alert to be triggered. Now we have set sales and have added it manually, or you can also base it on the number of scans. The operator that we have selected is less than. You have a very variety of operators to use from. So what this basically means is, now if the sales fall below $200 million, then the trigger, click alerting will trigger an alert. So here we see that it is a positive notification, and because our sales is $107 million, so the alert will be triggered. Once these conditions have been set, we can schedule the alert. So here we have the option to either set it on reload. So that means whenever we reload the system, the ClickSense system, it checks, verifies the calculations, and on the basis of that triggers the alert. Or you can schedule it. So here we have scheduled the alert on every day of the week for these 4 days of the month. We have scan since and scan until time period also. We can schedule the alert by intervals or times. Here we have taken it in interval starting from 8 a.m. in the morning up till 12 a.m. at night. And the trigger happens at the interval of 10 minutes. So in every 10 minutes, it checks the conditions. If the conditions are met, it sends out an alert. The distribution can happen either through email or the mobile applications, or both. The frequency can also be decided upon the user requirements. And you can select the number of recipients So select groups. For example, since this is a sales-based alert, we can have a group made for the salespeople to look into it. Once this is done, we can have the notification. So here you have a notification subject. You can upload files, pictures, etc., and also have a custom template and text available. Once you have done this, you are ready to go. Now that your sales alerts has been activated, the user, whoever is listed, will start receiving the alerts whenever it is triggered. With this, we come to an end of Qlik Alerting demo. So with this, we have come to the end of today's webinar on Qlik's latest and powerful features for data democratization and self-service. Today, we have discussed about the capabilities of Qlik Catalog, the new features from Qlik SIMs, and the Qlik Alerting, which is the latest addition to the Qlik portfolio.
Thank you all for joining us today. Have a good day.